All right, so week 8. So as I talked about last week, I'm sorry, before I get into our content, only a few things. One, week 9 is heading at us, which is the mid part of the semester, which is that all important should I stay or should I go, or what we often call, or what we call the drop date for the 18-week classes. What that means is if you're doing well in this class, this conversation is not for you. If you're not, then figure out how to get caught up. Come see me, whatever you need to do. And if you think that can't happen, you might want to drop. Because after 9 weeks, you're going to get a grade regardless. Okay? So I'm not talking to anyone about dropping. I'm just telling you your options. And hopefully you know what that is. Valley Dev Fest, which I've mentioned before, is well in full swing now. We do have a great lineup of speakers and topics. Please check it out. I will say now, if you want to go and cost is preventing you from coming, email me, okay, riowaller@gmail with the following subject line: I want a ticket, and I will get you a ticket, okay? So just tell me if that's something you'd like. You can buy student tickets here, so if you want to go, please see if you can arrange your schedule. I think it'll be a great day. It's a lot of fun. Good way to network with people in Fresno around technology and really around the Central Valley, which is what this covers. Okay, enough of that. Enough of that. So back to our topics. So only a few things there in that one. So for this week, as I mentioned last, I want you to find an hour of content, online tutorials, whatever it is, for you to take notes and to level up your skills. And I've put this as Sublime Text, but don't let that throw you off. If you're using something else, just use that. And then find an hour of content somewhere. And like I said, I use all the time I code now. I only use WebStorm. So for me, I would go find an hour of content and then in your notes, write what it covered, what those content items that you found, and also in your notes, give me the links. Even though I had you do them last week, in your notes, give me the links to the items that you're covering for your 1 hour of editor content tutorial. Okay, because being more productive with these things is really, really helpful. Okay, so that's for the lecture for this week. So we have a little bit of flexibility, I guess you would say, in our lecture. And then you have semantic versioning. And this is something that you've seen probably when you've looked at versions of things, and you may not have wondered how did they come up with that. Well, there's actually a system, so it's good to know just in general what this means, so that when you see versions from here on out, you'll have an idea of what that means. Okay. So the idea here is just to watch this, give your feedback, right? I'm just looking at what I had because this is content from last semester. Right, so it's just good to know about it. So check out the video, find some software packages that are related to and describe its current version. Oh, that's right. So find something, right, that you're using and discuss its current version in this semantic version context. So talk about that. Go find maybe your favorite app, right? So for me, one of my favorite apps would be Gmail. So I'd want to go find the version of Gmail that we're at right now, which might be a little bit harder because actually if I go to Gmail, there's actually no way, I think, now that I say that, to determine the version right now of Gmail. So maybe that's not a good example. So maybe a better example would be a typical app like Word, right? So Word has a version. And then OSs have versions, right? So Mac, Windows, and they come in this idea of, maybe the major version, the minor, and that's what this talks about. So just find something and talk about it in that context, okay? All right, so the other item you have this week, and I've been given this some thought, is that you have to get, and this is where GIT. So we've done GitHub pages, but now it's time for you to prepare your operating system, right? Because because some of you use Mac, some of you use Windows. And this week, I want you to prepare your OS for Git. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So for Mac users, this is fairly easy. You just install Git, right? So just do download Git and you'll find it. For Windows, you have a version as well. So and the current version is 2.10. Oh, actually, this would be a good one to talk about, right? Semantic versioning, what that means. So, so you have to install this for your OS, right? And then I want you to do some searching on YouTube or wherever for some basic Git tutorials and find and learn some basic Git commands. And then next week, we're actually going to take the site that you built out on GitHub, and I'm going to show you how to clone that. That's a command, a clone command, where it takes what's out on GitHub pages, places it on your local computer, and then will push changes, right? So that will be the work. It's called a workflow that we'll do starting next week. All right. So just FYI, I'm going to show you for both Windows and Mac. Not the install, because you'll need to do that on your own, but just basically the proof that I need you to show that you've done this. So for me, on the Mac side, all I have to do is run terminal. Let me just clear my screen, okay? So once I run terminal and I've installed Git, the way I can make sure I have Git installed is a very simple command called git version. So you can see, based on the version that we're looking at, I'm just a little behind the most current, so I could definitely go and update that. Okay, so now on Windows, and I have Windows running here in my virtual box, I've installed already a command or a program called Git Bash, and this is what I recommend for Windows users. And you'll get that in other words, just search for Git for Windows, and part of that installation you'll see is Git Bash. And so basically what this does is allows you to use Linux commands on a Windows environment. Now, many Linux commands are available on the standard command line for Windows, but not all of them, and not the Git commands. So if I run Git Bash on Windows, I could do the same thing where I do Git version. Now in this one, I can see I'm a little further behind, so I could definitely go install that. So step one is for you to install Git for your version, and then do Git version so we can see which one you have. Okay. So what I want to do though is I'm going to go back to, for a moment here, I'm going to go back to and once you get Git Bash for Windows and then Git for Mac, from then on the commands basically they're the same, which is why I recommend Git Bash, because then whatever Git commands you've learned are really going to translate over. But next week we'll get more into a command like git clone. Now this is not a command you can do yet because we haven't gone through it, although if you know how you could. But one thing I want to talk about is just navigation, right? So see, like right now I'm in my documents directory, okay? So if I do ls, right, I see a list of all my files and folders in there. So if you've ever been on the command line on Windows, you're used to dir. Well, that command does not work on Linux, okay? That's where ls, okay? Clear is a command that clears the screen. So if I want to change into, and CIT, I'll just show you 93. Now this is kind of cool, is if you start typing a directory and you can't remember all of it, or if you don't want to type it, once you have part of it, you hit the tab command. I just tried, and tab wouldn't work because I have more than one CIT directory. I do 93 tab because I couldn't remember SP16, and I hit enter, then it takes me to that directory and I can list it. So here are all the repos that I have from my students taking JavaScript right now. Okay. So so those are, and that's if I want to move into a directory. If I want to back out a back directory, there's a couple of things, right? If I do cd /, it'll take me to the root of my system, right here. And then I could go back in, I'd have to go users, right? cd, right? And now I'm back to documents. Cool. So So the other thing is up arrows are nice because they tell you the last commands, like the last commands that I've issued are always available to me, especially long commands when you do them. This is nice. So that's nice to know. So this is just a gentle introduction to command line. First get it set up and then go through some of these commands. And by the way, the command I was going to show you, so I'll do it now, to just back up one directory. Right? So if I'm here and I want to go back one directory, I have to do cd period period, and that takes me, and it's traversing the directory structure. So this is, once you learn to navigate the command line, right? Almost everyone is used to navigating their operating system through their file manager, but this is navigating your system through the command line because, as I mentioned in my write-up, using the command line and version control is just the way of the world in any kind of development these days, and your ability to have that skill and navigate that system is really important. Okay, all right, so I'll leave you with this. What you'll need to do is play with those commands and then do git version. I don't think you have to do the dash, so git version. So take a print screen of that, upload it, provide your print screen in here, and then next week, and let's just preview, we'll end with this, right? So in our week 9, I'm going to show you a draft. Matter of fact, I think I published it today, so let me go ahead and do this. So instead of doing a push next week, we'll do it the week after. Next week, I'll show you how to clone your repos that we created. We'll look at the draft of Project Zero, and we'll start looking at SEO, search engine optimization for e-commerce. So down at the very bottom, now this will look different for you because you will just see this after the week that I've published, but I've gone ahead and published the Project Zero worth 25% of this class, and this is a draft of what last semester ended with. So I'm just going to give you this, and then we will take a look at this in week 9. So just to let you know, you will see that. Okay, I think that's enough for today. I hope you enjoy the next part of what we're moving into, because after search engine optimization and a little bit of WordPress e-commerce, then we'll start looking at Bootstrap, and we'll be looking at Bootstrap using that or something else if you want to build your Project Zero on. All right, have a good rest of your day.